Right here is a 2004 Honda Foreman Rubicon 500, and it had some major engine noises, and it was not good noises. Let's check out what happened. We will be repairing this thing today and getting it going. And this was a low mile machine, but it had some hours on it. It was probably used for work. I believe there was a plow mount on it. Yes, there is a plow mount on it, so that's probably it spent most of its time plowing. So it didn't accrue a lot of miles, just a lot of hours. And if I was to guess, I would say it probably never had an oil change. So if you look over here, these are push rods and our cam followers, and these definitely sustained some damage pretty bad. As you can see, they are horrible. If we come on over into the engine side, get some of the stuff out of the way. Alright. The cam, the lobes are worn down bad. I mean, they're horrible. Timing chain tensioner is installed right now, and look how loose that timing chain is. It's about ready to jump a tooth. I'm surprised it didn't, honestly. So we're going to be tearing this down. First thing we have to do is we got to remove some plastics to be able to remove this oil tank. I mean, we might be able to work around it, but it'd just be a lot easier to remove all these front plastics, the rack, and that way it'll give us a little more room to work in. Luckily for this job, we don't have to remove the engine out of the machine. So, I mean, you could if you wanted, but we don't have to. It's going to save a little time if we don't. And the customer's trying to keep the budget down a little bit on this one. So let's get to work. Grab a 12mm, start removing the rack bolts. Should be 10s under here. Yep. Do a 12 over here. Oh, somebody's got the wrong bolt in there. They got a bolt and a nut, so happens a lot. That's actually what takes extra time too, is when you got to fool around with different bolts that don't belong on the machine. Obviously, this isn't going to take super long, but on some stuff it does. Mismatched bolts are the worst when you're working on just random machines. I get it. You try to put stuff together quick, and you end up with mismatched stuff, but it just makes it that much harder to do stuff the next time around. Yep. It's a 1/2 inch. Somebody used another standard on this rack. Not great. They messed the threads up. Now we should be able to pop this out. For the fenders, we got some stuff to remove. Obviously the little plastic push pins. Like I said, you could probably get away with not removing these fenders, but it's just going to be a little bit easier to get in here to work. There's that. Got to remove the shifter here to be able to pull it out. Just a couple of Phillips, and we can slide it on out of there. And then we're going to come in here and disconnect the headlights from the wiring harness plug. And just like that, we should be able to slide this up out of here. Just like so. To get those fenders off, and me recording only took like 7 minutes. So not bad. I mean, definitely do it in 5 minutes. Gives you a little bit more room. You don't have these things to worry about. The newer Rubicons, they don't have those side panels here. I think starting in 05. So you might not even gain too much work area by removing the front fenders on those. But these you do. Like I said, some of the stuff you definitely don't need to remove. It just makes it a little bit easier to work around. Definitely easier for viewing on the camera. So get this plastic piece out. Move this carburetor up front here. And we'll remove this bracket so I can get this inner fender out. There we go. Now we're talking. And we're going to come down here. Oil pan. We're going to drain the oil out of the tank here. Ooh, yeah. Look how gray that is. Probably got some metal shavings in there. There's actually 3 spots on these Rubicons. There's another oil drain here. This is for your engine, like the sump of the engine. Drain that out. And then we have our oil filter, which is right in the center of this plow mount, right up in here. 2 drain plugs on the outsides are 17s, and then your oil filter is going to require a 12 millimeter. And that one always makes a mess. Alright, I gotta remove the oil lines to this tank here. Pop that on out. And this one. I'm gonna remove the shifter here. Okay. We can start removing the bolts that hold this tank on. Now we're able to turn this tank enough so we can get this bolt out. Then we can pop it right out of there. A little finagling, just like so. Now with that tank gone, it gives us a lot of room to access this crankcase cover here. Now we can go around here and remove all the bolts with an 8 millimeter. Remove the shift motor. It's a hard one to see, easy one to miss. Alright, now there we go. I see it moving now. It's coming. So, there we go. Yeah, it's catching on that shift shaft, but we got it. Here's our Honda-matic unit, and then this is our centrifugal clutch. We still got some work to do before we can change that chain, but we might as well pull the tensioner off. Go ahead and pull our nut off the centrifugal clutch. There's that. Go ahead and pull this out. Don't want to forget our washer. Now I told the customer, because we were already in here, we might as well buy the new oil chain because we didn't know the condition of this. And you got to pull the oil chain off to get to the timing chain anyways. And as you can see, she's a little loose, so for like 20 bucks Honda OEM chain, you might as well buy a new one. So we get that, the new timing chain. We can go ahead and remove this little guard here. Here's our 10 millimeter for that. Alright, we'll pop the... Alright. Definitely some Loctite on that, so that come out a little mean, but we got it. Now we can pull the gear off for the sprocket. That, the bolt. Then our chain. Pull the chain out. 10 millimeter for this. This whole cam bucket can come out of there. Diamond chain, we can send that down. Remove this guide right here. And then we can pull it down through, just like so. There's a washer in the back, you don't want to lose that. And then there should be enough room to pull the timing chain off. And we can pull that chain out of there. Oh boy. Yeah, that chain, look at those links. It stays like that. Should go down nice and easy like that. And it should not keep form. Definitely a bad chain. Stretched and she's sticky. But we're this far into it, we might as well replace the base gasket. We got a complete engine gasket kit, so we might as well. Slide that on out. Just gonna rotate this, get a look at that piston. Thing was running pretty good. Definitely got some wear on the side there, but the thing was running good. Wasn't smoking or anything. I'm guessing from the not so good oil, it probably wore into it a little bit, but we're gonna use it. The owner is trying to keep the cost down as much as he can, so it's understandable. Pull that out of there. Definitely a lot of sludge and nasty stuff in that engine, so we'll get that all cleaned out on top of the cylinder here. Alright, made sure I got all the old gasket off, so we're going to put the new gasket on here. Now that we got the top of this all cleaned off and we got the gaskets all cleaned off, I oiled the cylinder and we're going to go back down on here. Make sure the rings are in the correct spot. Now that we got it started down on there, we can put our timing chain guide in. So that's going to sit right into the cylinder. Going to rest right in there. Alright, and now we're going to slowly set the cylinder down. We're going to make sure that timing chain goes in the slot in the cylinder. Beautiful. Just like so. Then we can put our cylinder bolts on. Clean out the bottom of this case. We're going to remove the old O-rings and install new O-rings. There's those. I'm going to open up the little peephole over here so we can make sure we're on top dead center. Might be a little hard to see, but there's the T. And you can obviously see the piston is at top dead center. Get the O-rings out of there. Just want to go around this whole case and clean off all the old Honda Bond, the sealant that was on there. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, time for new parts. We got a new Honda timing chain, a oil pump chain, and some new Honda seals, obviously. First things first is the timing chain. Now, unlike the other one, we should be able to just let it go and it sinks free. It does not hold any kind of form. So that's a good chain. As you can see, that one looks like a bad chainsaw chain. Now if I stretch this out, I bet we can tell the difference on these chains. I mean, I can't even get this one to close. See how this one closes right up, the brand new chain? Oh, there we go. Definitely a length difference there. Take it, pull it over the crankshaft, and then we can pick it up. All right, I'm gonna put this time and chain guide on. So we're using used time and chain guides. These ones were in a little better shape than his, so. And then I'm going to pull this chain tight. Whoops. I'm going to pull this chain tight. And then I'll put this guide up in there. Making sure that washer's on there. Push it up in. There. Sometimes these will fall off and stuff. I'm actually going to work on the top end first and get it timed before we throw the oil pump chain on and all the other stuff. So this right here was his push rods. As you can see, starting to wear down right there. It's got a flat spot and it should be round like that. These are the cam followers. Super smoked. Horrible. Unfortunately, that means all that material, all that steel material that got worn off of this and the cam went in that engine. So it mixed with the oil. I'm hoping the bearings and everything are good in the bottom end. You know, I mean, the crank seemed good. The connecting rod felt good, but who knows the rest of it. So to keep the cost down on the customer, he had opted, I give him a price on new ones, and he basically wants to keep this project cheap. So we went with a good set of used ones I had in stock. So we got some new push rod, good used push rods, and then some good used cam followers. Obviously this cam has seen better days. Look at the lobe right there and then right there. Really bad. Now, I gave him a price on a new cam as well, and he didn't like the price of that. So we're going with, once again, a good used one I had in stock. See the lobes, nice and smooth on this. No wear, no jagged edges, nothing like that. Same thing. This one's the same way. It's in good shape. Just oil on there. No scarring or damage like this cam. Alright, a little oil in the bearings, and I'm just going to oil up the lobes as well. And then we can set this down in here, pull that chain up. Now, we're going to want to make sure these lobes are pointing down. We have it at the piston at top dead center right now. Lobes are pointing down, so we should be fairly close. And then there's a mark. There's a mark right there on the cam. You want that parallel with the top of the cylinder head, top of the cylinder. So I'm going to put this into place. I have no idea. I'm not looking at the front to see if it's correct or not, but we'll check that in a minute. See, this is why I didn't put anything else together at the bottom. Right now that chain, I could probably, you know, wiggle it, get it in the right position, but that chain actually slid off the crank gear a little bit. As you can see right there, it pushed over. Not a huge deal. I'm just going to release the tension on the cam, and then we'll slide the chain over. I had to use 2 hands for that, but we get that. And now we should be able to put our cam into place. It's going to go in these guides here. Chain is definitely tight compared to before. Alright, so before I get any further, if we come up here, you can see we're not right on this mark, so we're off at least a tooth. So I'm just going to pull this cam down to relieve some of the tension, slide that over, and now I think we might be good. Let's get it into the actual position. No, we're still off. So same thing. There's little locating pins in there that that slides into. But once we get them off, then we'll go one more tooth. And I'm pretty sure that's where she belongs right there. Get that into place. Now you can see it's pretty close. Now when the timing chain tensioner goes in, it's going to push on this timing chain over here. So we're going to push this, and you can see now we're perfectly parallel with the cylinder. And then we'll come back over here, make sure we didn't move off a top dead center. Obviously the piston's at top. Obviously the piston's at the top, but it doesn't mean we're on the T exactly. But it sure looks like it. Go ahead and install our bolts. Beautiful. Alright, now we can install our timing chain tensioner. Now we got to remove all the old gasket, then we'll install a new gasket, just like so. So once we get that on, we can take a long, thin, flathead screwdriver, put it in here, and then we're going to rotate that. You can see it's pulling that tensioner in. It's taking the tension off. As soon as we let it go, it's going to extend until it tightens the chain up enough. So we're going to pull it in, and now we can go ahead and install this. Just like so. And then we're going to start our bolts. And we can tighten that up. Alright. Now I slowly release the pressure here, and we'll pull the screwdriver out. Alright, so if I bring you in here, with that tensioner on there, you can see I can barely get any play out of there. So this is a good chain. Obviously it's brand new, but you know, there's no movement in it. The old one was completely shot. We want to double check our timing mark. It's right on the money. And yeah, so that's how the chain should look. A lot different. And this will probably actually tighten up a little bit when the engine rotates. The cylinder head was pretty nasty. As you can see, there's a bunch of debris and just nasty stuff in there, so we gotta go clean this up. Also, I pulled the valves out because I wanted to change the seals in there, and it's a good thing. Of course, you can't see the seals too good when the valve springs are on there, but now that I'm seeing them, they look pretty hard. Actually, that one's flexible. Not bad. Yeah, these ones are a little harder over here, but it's a good time to change everything out anyways. Alright, now that I got that cylinder head all clean, new valve seals installed, I'll make sure everything's cleaned off again. Took a razor blade and scraped all the old gasket material off. Here's our new head gasket. Get that down in there. And our cylinder head. Got her all cleaned up. Like I said, new valves. Lap the valves a little bit just to reseat. Okay, so everything's good on here. Ready to throw our cylinder head down on there. This exhaust is right in the way. The head pipe wouldn't come off the muffler, and that's why I'm dealing with this right now. Okay, that's down in there. And take a little bit of that Honda oil and lube that out. Just lube up where the cam followers are going to go. So then we can install these. 1 and 2. Now, when I first took this apart, I couldn't actually get the cam followers out of here because they were so mushroomed over that they were stuck. When I pulled this head off, I could push them through the bottom, but they should be able to pop right out just like this, and they wouldn't. So that, yeah, she's seen in better days. Alright, our push rods. Make sure everything's cleaned off of here, and then we'll put our new gasket in. Now we want to hold these push rods up. I guess we could have installed them afterwards, but just push them up, and there's actually a little spot that it holds on top of the gasket there. I'll put this locating pin in. It was stuck in the head cover. Alright, now the head cover. Now the big thing we want to watch here is to make sure that our push rods end up in these slots. Okay, I got some washers. Long ones, 1, 2, 3. And tighten those. Alright, we're going to set the intake at 6 thousandths of an inch. Feels good. Nice. And then the exhaust is calling for 9 thousandths of an inch. 009. Nine, 9, 6, and 6. Get the top done. We can go ahead and bolt the rest of this, the cylinder head down. There's some small bolts here, and then the lower cylinder. And this one, new O-ring on this as well. Alright, top end's all put together. Time to move back onto the transmission side, well, the clutch side. We'll grab our new oil pump chain. Get that on there. Definitely want to put some Loctite on the bolt for the oil pump gear, because the last thing you want is that coming off. This does not have to be timed at all. We're just going to slide the chain up. Then our gear is going to go on a slot in there, or sprocket, whatever you want to call it. Just cleaning out those threads. Make sure there's no oil on the threads so our Loctite penetrates good. Alright. Now we're going to put this splash guard up. Our washer back in here. And our centrifugal clutch. Gotta lock her into place. So we were leaking coolant out of here before, and I think it was this rubber O-ring right there. You can see it's damaged, so we're definitely getting new ones on here. About time to put this case on. We got to Honda bond the whole thing. Put our new gasket in, or seal. Liquid gasket like Honda bond, Yamaha bonds, anything like that that's made to seal crankcases up. That's what you're going to use on this. Gonna go around with a very light layer. Once I get that coated, I'm just gonna put a very thin layer on the case as well. We got a new O-ring on here. We got the O-rings down there. Alright, we'll go ahead and gently put this on. Line that shifter up first. That's usually what gets bound up, and then you can work it in gently. There's that. Just give her a little tap. Should go right into place. Beautiful. And we just got to put all our bolts back into place. Alright, should open this tank up because I have a feeling there's going to be some junk in there that should be cleaned out. Alright, let's check her out. Yeah, definitely some sludge, and look at that screen in there. A little bit of water is from me because I just pressure washed the outside of it so dirt wouldn't get in there, but yeah, certainly some junk. Ooh. Yeah, glad I took that apart. Lots of sludge. We'll get it cleaned up and get it back on the machine. Yeah, definitely get some hard material on that screen, probably from the cam getting ground down. Clean all that up. Man, I always underestimate how long it takes to clean everything up. Boy, I don't know why. I do it so much, and every time it just, especially on a blown up machine where stuff grenades in the engine or something like this, where there's just so much stuff in there. But we get everything clean. I got to seal this back up with Honda Bond as well. These two pieces back together. Go ahead and install our tank. New O-rings on the water pump. Time to install that. So we'll hook up our oil lines. Alright, probably hook up that exhaust now. We got a new donut that goes in there. Or exhaust gasket, whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and get these coolant hoses hooked up here. So, this is the filter I pulled off. We're going to put a new one on, obviously. But any of you guys that know these machines know this is exactly how I pulled it off. It just dropped just like this. You know, the spring doesn't belong here. Now, this filter, pick it up, Okay, it does have the metal washer there, but that spring should go right there. The metal washer right there, and then it should go just like that, and that actually pushes this towards the engine. So I'm not sure, being the other way, if it what that would do to the engine, but it's definitely not designed to be like that. So we're gonna put it together the right way. Try to clean this mess up, obviously. Get it all cleaned out, ready to install that bolt. Now the spring goes first. I was wrong. There wasn't any steel washer in there. I thought it looked like it, but it's just rubber and rubber. So we're gonna have to grab one of those and a washer. Now really all that washer does is just help not cut into the rubber there. Gives it a little more surface area. Push that down in there. There. Now we're ready to install. Oh, we'll get this down here. Get some oil in here. I got 2 gallons of GN4 1040 because this thing's gonna take probably around 6 quarts. We'll see. 4 quarts actually brought it almost right up to the top of this tank, or it was. I guess it's settled some now, but we're gonna have to run it with 4 quarts, get it circulating in the engine, and then we'll shut it off and check it, and then we'll probably add 1 to 2 quarts. Now surprisingly, this thing did idle and run pretty good, but we're gonna pop, the owner suggested, the owner wanted me to just take the carburetor apart and clean it, so we'll do that. Yeah, good thing. Definitely some crud in there. So I was debating whether to drain the gas out. I opened it up and smelt it, and that decided it right there. That was some nasty looking gas, bright yellow. This tank, I pressure washed it a little bit, but man, this whole machine has seen some mud. I know there's a plow on it, but it was a mud machine at one time too. I mean, look at the radiator. Plugged right up, solid. The lack of maintenance on this thing definitely is probably what happened to it, I'm guessing. I think we're at that point where I can throw this gas tank on here, throw some gas in it, try to fire it up, make sure everything's good before we go ahead and slap everything back together. We can make sure it's good first. Besides the fuel, still got to put a spark plug in here, but I'm not worried about that right now. I want to leave it out. That way I can turn the engine over without any compression to just get the oil pump flowing and get some oil where it needs to go. We'll go ahead and start with the gas. Well, we already got gas pouring out. The gas line is rotted off the tank. It wasn't leaking before, must be from just being bent. It just did that. Alright, got her turned on. We'll just whirl it over now. Okay, throw a new plug in. Let's see what she does here. Choke. That engine sounds quiet now. Oh boy, that thing was noisy before. Sounds good. It's gonna burn off some oil and solvents and stuff like that for a minute. I am so happy with how that sounds. That sounds great. It really does. Little nervous with the oil, but sounds good now. Alright, I'll give it a couple minutes to settle, and then I'll recheck the oil. I'm sure it's going to be low, but we had to get it circulating throughout the engine. So, alright, so on these, we're going to want to insert it, not screw it in, and it should be at this level. These dipsticks are very long, but the tank is pretty deep, so. Insert. We are, I believe we're somewhere down here, so I'd say we're probably a little on the short side. A little more oil. To the top. I'll fire it up again, let it idle, shut it down, and then see. Starts good. I think we're safe to put the air box on. No, I gotta put the recoil on first. Right on the money. So the customer didn't know his recoil was broke, so he said if I had a good used one, which I do, he said he would buy it from me. So we're gonna throw this one on. Once I get this on, I'll throw the air box on, I'll bring it out, and then I can do some testing, make sure everything's good. Wash that radiator out because it's filthy, and give it a little test before I end up, before I put everything back together. As you can see, she's all back together now, and I took her for a ride. Seems to go pretty good. We're going to take it for a good ride here in a minute. But I was going to tell the owner that he should probably change the oil out because all that stuff, we didn't dig all the way into the engine, so there's still some contaminated oil in there for sure. Luckily, it holds quite a bit of oil, so hopefully most of it's good oil. But we're going to drain the tank out and refill, and then it'll be a little better. There we go, we'll get that draining. Looks to be just about done draining. We'll put the plug back up in and then refill. That's the oil that came out of it. Definitely some discoloration already. Got it refilled back up. Let's go give her a whirl. 2004 Honda Rubicon 500. Fires up instantly. So, when it did get hot, like when I first started this thing, of course there was a lot of oil in the cylinder. When I first started this thing, quiet as a mouse. When I got a little warmer, started hearing a little bit of rattle. I think it's probably a little piston slap, because we did see the side skirts were, well, the front and the back of the skirt were a little worn. But I'm pretty sure it'll last a long time like that. It sounds pretty good, other than a little bit of rattle, like I said. So these machines, they have one of the smoothest transmissions you can buy in an ATV. The older Rubicons, the newer one's a little bit different, but these, they're hydraulically driven, so they're all driven by all that oil that we dumped in there. So you have, it's an automatic or an ESP, but essentially it's automatic. It's almost like a hydrostatic transmission, kind of. But if you wanted to run, we're just going to run automatic drive. And we got D1. Let me show you that. D1. So, I'm giving it like quarter throttle. You can hear the RPMs. You can hear how it kind of shifts up. Now we're going to slow down a little bit. D2. D1 is like a bit, I would call it sport mode. It's probably trail mode. D2 is what they call torque mode. It's basically, it's a high range, kind of. It puts it in a higher gear ratio, or higher gearing. So it's going to be quieter, going to be less RPMs, a little more torque. You're not going to spin as much. But I'll do the same throttle position right there. You can feel definitely not as much power, but it's quieter, and it's a good, you know, just leisuring around. You're going to use less fuel probably in that mode, but I think most of the time you'd probably want to run D1. D2, like if you stop on this hill and go to take off, you're really lacking power. D1, you got it. Of course, you have a low range in this too, and it's a really usable low range. We'll put it in low range. I don't think the D1, D2 matters in low, but so yeah. As you can see, you can go like, I think I hit 24 miles an hour on there. You know, and that's not really over revving. 24 miles an hour in low range, that's pretty good. But let's shift it back into drive. And we're in D1, so the more power mode. Now, this machine, the customer, he's had quite a few machines brought to me. A Honda 700 XX, what was the last one? Foreman 450 ES. There was one before that, I think. I don't remember. But anyways, I think it should be all done with by the time this video puts out, so I can say it. Just in case, I don't know if his buddy watches these videos or not, but this machine, he's gonna go riding with his buddy who was injured, I believe, in a motorcycle accident. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what he said. And he's planning on going riding. He said, hey, I got an extra quad, let's go. So he's gonna go riding with his buddy, and while they're out there, he's just thinking he's borrowing his machine. He's giving him this Honda Rubicon. He's handing the keys over and saying it's all yours. He's got a $1,100 bill from me for this, and he's just gonna. He got the machine at a good price. I think he paid $500 for it. I mean, it's got really nice tires. The rims are nice looking on this thing. It's a good machine overall. A little nervous about the oiling. I would change it a couple times, you know, not that soon, but drive it, you know, for a little while, change it out, and then to get the oil cleaned up. But yeah, he's just giving this thing to him. That's a good friend right there for sure. So we're gonna come up here, D1. I'm gonna try that. So you got plenty of power to crawl up here in D1 in drive. Now low range, obviously you'd have more, but this thing is basically a very, I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's a very user friendly, as you can just put it in drive and go, and you can pretty much do anything you want. You really don't need to use low. Now there's some spots you probably want to use low, be a good idea, or if you're towing, but drive is a really usable gear. We'll get on to her pretty good right here. Now, one thing about the old Rubicons like this is these are all-time full-wheel drive. No selector switch to take it in and out. That kind of sucks. I mean, it's one less problem you're gonna have. Sometimes depending on the machine, but sometimes the servos go bad for the two-wheel drive, full drive. Sometimes the switches go bad. This, you don't have to worry about that. It's locked in full-wheel drive all the time. So now it's a limited slip front, but so basically three-wheel drive. But you definitely notice the difference from a machine like a Honda Foreman, say, that you can take in and out of full drive versus this. Now in 05 they switched the style of this Rubicon completely, and I mean, it was the same idea basically, but different styling, more aggressive styling, and the looks of it.
And they added a tool drive full drive feature, which was really nice. 1 year newer than this. This is the last year they made this style, 04. We're going to drop her into low. That's one thing. I made sure I cleaned out the radiator as good as I could. It's way better than it was. And I wanted to make sure I could hear that fan kicking on. You can hear it right now. So the fan kicks on. We're all good there. These things don't have a ton of clearance, so I'm trying to stay out of the rocks. This does have a winch. I just checked it. The owner didn't say anything. He just wanted me to get the engine stuff done. But the winch does work, so that's good. We're in low range. Low, like I said, is just so usable. It's not like your typical automatic where you put it in low and it's geared super low. This, you have the low, like if you slow right down, take off, it's really low, but it increases because of that Honda-matic transmission. Very expensive when they go bad, but while they're working, I think they're one of the best transmissions out there. If they just were a little bit more reliable. I think if people take care of them, they are reliable. But you can't neglect maintenance. It's like that on anything. I mean, everybody says Honda's the best machine you can get out there. And maybe it is the toughest, but when people say that, other people think, well, I don't need to do any maintenance on this thing because it's never gonna break. Well, I mean, you might have better luck with it than some of the other machines, but they still all need maintenance done. They really do. I haven't been up here for a little while. It's starting to grow up. I gotta make some more tracks. Yeah, actually, I kind of like running in low range for this kind of stuff. And this does have like an engine braking. And I bet low is a lot more aggressive than, say, in drive. Because I know in D1, D2, it makes a big difference. D2, basically, you have no engine braking. It almost freewheels. It doesn't freewheel, but it kicks you into higher gear. And so I'm guessing, let me let go of the throttle here. Yeah, I gotta give it throttle just to go. It works good. And now we'll switch it to drive. Still has got a good engine braking, even in drive, and you still got good power. Almost can't notice a difference until you get into that higher RPM on the low range. Then you know you're in low range. But yeah, this is grown up. All right, out on the open. Now this machine has only got 888 miles, like 300 hours, I think. I think it's been a rough 800 miles, but it's obviously been sitting a while. It's a little stiff up front. I think it's a little stiffer than it should be. Like, it's all-time full drive, but I almost feel like ball joints, maybe a little sticky. Hard to say. I mean, it seems to handle okay, but a little sticky. Probably you run it a little bit and they'll free rate up, but this thing probably hasn't been run in a while. All right. Yeah, this machine, the Honda-matic, works awesome. Very seamless. Sometimes, if they're getting a little bad, you can feel them shift in and out a lot, and it's just, I don't know. There's gonna be some problems with them in the future when they get to that point. But this one's working good. So right here I'm just going to cruise at 25 miles an hour. And you can hear the RPMs, hear the exhaust, how loud she is. I can't believe it. I didn't touch the brakes on this thing, and it's they work. D2, we're going to run 25 miles an hour. You can hear it just upshifting a lot quicker. I really like that feature. Right there's 20, 24, 25. Not much noise going on. Now obviously you punch it, she'll go, but it's a lot slower taking off than if you're in D1. Yeah, D1. But yeah, this machine should do 50 no problem. I'm not really sure on the top end of these. Like, we're in D2, so it's, yeah, right there's 50, 51, 52. Oh yeah, I'm confident you probably get this up to 55 no problem. 60 probably is pushing it, but yeah, it goes good. On to another one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. I pulled my diesel out.